Councillor Cooper, can you hear us? Okay. I think it's a you problem. Yeah. Can you hear us now?
Aren't I lucky?
All right, we're good now.
Well, that was fine.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Township of Georgian Bay, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the Planning Council and call this meeting to order at 9 o'clock. And in the spirit of reconciliation, we wish to acknowledge the enduring relationship between the Indigenous peoples and the territories that they have traditionally occupied. We recognize and deeply respect the historic connection they have to this place, the land, the water, the air, sky, all that live in, on, below it, above it, around it. We are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank the generations of Indigenous peoples who have taken care of this place and who continue to care for it. And we want to show our respect. Hundreds of years after the first treaties were signed, they remain relevant today. May they guide our decisions and our actions. We commit to learn, to educate, to honor sacred places, and to take action towards real truth and reconciliation. Miigwech. Council, any declarations of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest? Not seen any. I don't believe we have anyone for open forum, Ms. Way. Then we're going to go into the Municipal Act public meetings, which means you want me to read a little introduction. This morning, there's a public meeting scheduled for one road closing and one shore road closing application, with the first one for a road closure. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the meeting. First, the clerk will advise council as to when, how, and to whom notice of the public meeting was circulated for the proposed road closing being considered. Next, staff will advise of the purpose and effect of the bylaws and provide for any other information that is relevant to the applications, and staff will summarize any correspondence on file. From there, the public will have an opportunity to speak and provide comments to the bylaw being considered. Please be respectful of time and be concise with your comments. All commentators are requested to state their name and address. Council will then have an opportunity to provide comments for clarification. I now declare this meeting to be a public meeting pursuant to the Municipal Act SO 2001 C25 as amended to deal with the following proposed shore road closing bylaws. R25-2 for parts 1 and 2, Plan 35R 21420 for the Wahta Mohawks, and R24-13 for 13730 Georgian Bay Shore, Simons. To our clerk, please.
Notice of the public meeting was digitally published in a virtual newspaper and was sent to the abutting neighbors in the close proximity at the property at least 30 days prior to this morning's meeting.
Thank you. And now to our staff, which I believe is also our clerk.
Application R25-02 requests a purchase of 2 parts of road allowance between Lot 5 and 6 of Concession 14 in the former township of Gibson, just north of McMaster Lake. The applicant is requesting the purchase of the road allowance as part of the province's commitment to land reconciliation. In 2021, the shore road allowance of McMaster Lake and again in 2023, an additional road allowance abutting the SRA have been transferred as part of the land reconciliation to the Wahta Mohawks. Given the township's commitment to truth and reconciliation, staff are recommending the purchase price be waived and the township cover legal costs at an expense of approximately $1,500. The property is abutting Crown lands. No correspondence has been received on this application. Don't know what I did there. McMaster Lake is located in Ward 1 of the township, just north of the Wahta Mohawk territory. Highlighted in red, you can see the portion of the road allowance to be transferred. Here is an aerial view of the road allowance. And here the reference plan notes parts 1 and 2 of the road allowance to be transferred. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any members of the public who want to comment on this.
There is no one in attendance, sir.
No. And therefore, I will go to council. Council, any comments or questions with regards to this application? Council Jarvis.
Couple of quick questions. Is the water level in this lake controlled? Just curious. I realize that when these things are drawn up, that road allowance seems to go right through the middle of the lake. Is it possible it was drawn up before the lake sort of was established, or is that a fully natural lake?
Unfortunately, it's not uncommon that road allowances go through.
I figured that.
Not
Okay.
just through a straight line.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 150 years ago, they drew straight lines regardless
Okay,
of
they didn't
geography.
care. I realize that. Of course, maybe the lake wasn't in that place when they drew the map as well. It moved. Okay, no, it's fine. Thank you.
All right, not seeing any other hands or questions. I have moved by Councillor Predko, seconded by Councillor Jarvis. Be it resolved, the council passes the closing bylaw 2025-050 to stop up, close, and convey part of the original road allowance lying in front of lots 5 and 6, concession 14, being parts 1 and 2, plan 35R-21420, formerly Gibson, now in the township of Georgian Bay, and that the purchase price for the road allowance for application R25-02 be waived, and that the township of Georgian Bay be responsible for all legal costs associated with the registration and transfer of land to the Wahta Mohawks for R24-02 to be funded from the clerk's legal budget. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. All right. And our second application is to close Shore Road Allowance is application R24-13 for 13730 Georgian Bay Shore. To our clerk.
Application R24-13 requests the purchase of the shore road allowance at 13730 Georgian Bay Shore. The applicant is requesting the purchase of the SRA to ensure ownership of the lands of existing structures. Part 1, shown on the reference plan, shows these 60.06 linear meters at a cost of $242 per linear meter for a purchase price of $14,534.52 plus HST. The property is zoned shoreline residential type 1. There are no open building permits on file and no correspondence has been received on this application. The subject lands are located in North Bay of Honey Harbor, just adjacent to Deer Island. The subject lands are located in Georgian Bay waters off of mainland and Georgian Bay shore. Here is an aerial view of the subject lands. As you can see, the existing structures are located within the shore road allowance. The reference plan notes Part 2 of the shore road allowance to be transferred and become one parcel with 13,730 Georgian Bay shore. On this plan, you can see the high water mark at 177.4 meters, which is higher than the present water mark at the time of surveying. Within the original shore road allowance is a one-story cottage with deck that was originally built in 1945, a shed, pump house, and deck platform with the attached docks.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant present? I know.
No, they are not.
Okay, thank you very much. And there are no members of the public, so therefore, again, I'm turning over to council if there's any questions or comments. Councillor Cooper.
I'm working just with one laptop today, so I can't see the diagrams very clearly. I wondered if Karen could bring up the picture of the shoreline again. I just wanted to understand which line was the high water mark, which was et cetera. Just if you could explain it just a little more clearly. Thank you.
I'm going to pull up the actual plan because then I can zoom in better on it. Just give me 1 second. Now? Yeah. Well, so here you can see the 177.4 water line, which is the high water mark noted there. But then this line down here at the bottom of Part 2 is the current water mark when this was surveyed in the fall.
Thank you for that, Karen. So the buildings are, though, behind the high water mark. They're just not very far.
That's correct, yes.
That helps clarify. Sorry for the hold up. I just wanted to make sure that they weren't in the high water mark. Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
No, it does happen.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, observations? All right, I have moved by Councillor Cooper, and Councillor Graziano is not with us, so I'll say seconded by Councillor Hazelton. Be it resolved that Council passed the closing bylaw 2025-051 to stop up, close, and convey part of the original shore road allowance lying in front of Lot 36, Concession 14, being Part 2, Plan 35R-27772, formerly Baxter, now in the Township of Georgian Bay, 13,730 Georgian Bay shore, for the purchase price of $14,534.52 plus HST. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And that closes the Municipal Act public meetings portion of our meeting. And we have no Planning Act public meetings on our agenda, so we're going to go to the Planning Application Staff Reports. And Mr. Kratky, you're going to talk about the official plan and zoning bylaw amendments number 024-02 and number Z24-02 for 144 6 Mile Channel Road, please. Oh, yes. Before we do that, I believe Director Whitlib wanted to make an introduction. And so I will hand the floor over to Director Whitlib, and Mr. Kratky will have to be patient.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, Jeff, didn't mean to disrupt the flow of the meeting. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce to council our summer student, our planning summer student this year, Russell Scarrow. He's the bright face sitting at the end of the planning table here. Russell comes to us academically from the University of Toronto, where he's studying architecture and planning. But he is a Parry Sound boy, and he's already proven himself to be a really important member of our team. So we've got big plans for him this summer.
And I decided yesterday, and he didn't deny it, that I think he loves data. Welcome aboard. Well, hopefully we'll make very good use of you. Mr. Kratky, now over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jeff Kratky. I am a registered professional planner with the Township of Georgian Bay. Mr. Mayor, councilors, everyone here in attendance and online. I'm here just with information for council regarding applications O2402 and Z2402 regarding 6 Mile Lake Channel Road. Sherry Baker has withdrawn the applications. She has received a demolition permit, and the demolition of the former shoreline residential dwelling is imminent, should take place this week. Therefore, my recommendation, be it resolved that council for the Township of Georgian Bay received information from planning staff regarding the withdrawal of official plan amendment application number O2402 and zoning bylaw amendment number Z2402 regarding lands owned by Sherry Baker and municipally known as 144 6 Mile Channel Road, the applications, and that planning staff are authorized to notify those who corresponded with council regarding the applications that they are withdrawn, and that planning staff are authorized to update the resolution tracker to show the applications are withdrawn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions or comments on this particular, I won't call it application in the sense of this or de-application? All right, I'm going to read the motion. I have moved by Councillor Hazelton, seconded by Councillor Jarvis. Be it resolved, the council for the Township of Georgian Bay received information from planning staff regarding the withdrawal of official plan amendment application number O24-02 and zoning bylaw amendment number Z24-02 regarding lands owned by Sherry Baker and municipally known as 144 6 Mile Channel Road, and that the planning staff are authorized to notify those who corresponded with council regarding the applications that they are withdrawn, and that planning staff are authorized to update the resolution tracker to show that the applications are withdrawn. Council, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And now into the staff reports section of our meeting. Mr. Kratky, you're going to talk about housekeeping comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-75. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is going to be incredibly brief, but certainly we're happy to answer any questions. My colleague and I, Shania, are trying to address concerns and questions asked by Oak Bay Developments regarding the housekeeping amendment. We've sent them some additional information which council has with our report, and certainly we look forward to working together with Oak Bay to resolve their concerns.
Thank you very much. I, for one, greatly appreciate all the work that the two of you are doing along with everyone else in moving this file forward. I've already complimented you on the achievements of it, so I won't go and repeat all that, but I think it's a very important exercise, and I'm going to see whether council has any comments or questions before I read the motion. I'm going to start with Councillor Predko, please.
Thank you, and through you, your worship. Thank you, Jeff and Shania. It is an overwhelming document, and it has been very well processed. My continuing question again is still, I think in this version of the housekeeping bill, there is no mention of the exception for Go Home Lake and Docks, and I just want to confirm that that is the direction that you're going forward with the final version of this bylaw. And If that is the case, the cottages that do have 3 docks on Go Home Lake or more than 2, will they now become legal non-complying, or how will that be addressed going forward?
Mr. Mayor, if you just indulge Shania, she will reply to the councillor's question.
Thank you.
Through the mayor, that will be changed in the revised housekeeping text
To what?
back to what it was.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not going to say that Go Home Lake is only subject to 2 docks per lot.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just hadn't seen the change in this, so thank you very much.
Councillor Jarvis, please.
Thank you, through you, Worship. My only question, I'm sure there are people that probably love wading through 263 pages of documentation, and I appreciate the work that our planning staff is doing, because work I wouldn't want to be doing. My only question is with regards to OBD. Are you finding that you're being able to make progress with them?
Candidly, they have been very occupied with some other matters in the last month. There was an exchange of information, but it was simply to acknowledge receipt of what we have done and indicate that there would be a dialogue at a future date. The length of time that we may wait for that dialogue has not been further considered. As I've said throughout every meeting that we've been with you discussing this matter, if Oak Bays remains strongly concerned about our attempt to clarify the zoning bylaw without making any changes, because that has been the intent from the start, then we will revert their part of the bylaw to its original wording, its original 6-column tables. It will be different than other parts of the bylaw, but we will ensure that Oak Bay is satisfied. Again, this exercise was never meant to change anything in the zoning bylaw. It was simply meant to make it easier for everyone.
No, I understand that. I know they had some specific questions, the last meeting we had. Have we been able to the best of your ability, address those questions specifically?
Yes, so Shania prepared a table that is attached to the report.
It is, okay. I was wondering if that was the case. I didn't know which page it was on of the 263, and I did want to go there.
Well, I would encourage the councillors to review that table,
yeah.
because it does, for the first time in a comprehensive way, speak to the issue of exactly what has changed and where it has gone. We didn't use change as tracked from the beginning because of the movements of text. And even where text wasn't changing, it was moving. But at least what this does is it allows the reader, if they use it with the text, to understand what has changed.
Oh, no, I mean, I got into it, but not 263 pages into it. And yeah, I saw that. And yeah, very much, I really do appreciate the clarifications. That's great. So my concern is that OBD seems to have specific issues. If those were addressed, I'm not sure where they're at now, but that was my only comment. But like I said, it's good work.
There is no question that the RM43 site-specific exception zone and then the site-specific exceptions to the site-specific exception zone become very complex to review and read back to the RM4 zone, because one must appreciate that all ultimately is RM4. So there's no question that while we have faithfully tried to ensure that no requirements or permissions are changing, it is a very complex set of interrelated sections and subsections of our zoning bylaw. And if at the end of the day, Oak Bay prefers that we keep those unchanged through housekeeping, then we will create an ability in section 2 for those site-specific exception zones to the site-specific exception zone to actually exist. Because right now there isn't actually a framework, even though they've been in the bylaw since 1991, no one ever actually addressed the framework for them. And what we will do is we will not open the door to more site-specific exceptions to site-specific exceptions, but we will simply recognize that in this one particular instance, there are site-specific exceptions to a site-specific exception. And that is confusing just saying it.
Just happy there are not site-specific exceptions to site-specific exceptions to site-specific exceptions. Thank you.
Okay, match that, Councillor Hazelton.
Not even going to try. What I would like to understand, though, is I know that on the work plans for the planning department, we have an OP review, zoning bylaw review. What is the linkage, the critical steps of this housekeeping bylaw as it relates to those two other critical steps?
Yeah, so the intent of this housekeeping is to bridge the gap somewhat, at least from a zoning standpoint, to carry us forward, because even once we embark on a formal consultation and amendment process to the official plan and zoning bylaw, these processes aren't measured in weeks or even months. So there's still going to be quite a block of time where we need to work with the current bylaw, and we're doing what we can through this process to make it to improve it and address the immediate needs of the community before we get into any substantive changes.
And if I may, we're also going to begin separately concurrent official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment housekeeping exercises, where our policies of our plan right now prohibit us from addressing the district's comments regarding accessory residential units and regarding source water protection. And so there will be further this year amendments to both documents that allow us to help bridge the gap between now and a formal comprehensive review and update.
You want to say more?
No, and thank you, Jeff, for pointing those out. So those are two policy matters, source water protection, where our official plan and zoning bylaw are out of conformity with district policies. They're out of date. And accessory dwelling units, right? Additional units on a property. So those are beyond the scope of housekeeping. That's why they weren't part of this process. They are actually fundamental changes, but those are two, I'll call them one-off changes that we do intend to bring forward before the official plan and zoning bylaw review. Again, to carry us through that time frame, because they're two important matters of conformity that we think need to be addressed sooner rather than later. And they're not hard to address, but they need to go through the process.
So thank you for your comments. I perhaps didn't ask my question in a way that I would get the answer I need. My focus is the community are aware of many zoning bylaw changes and OP changes that should be in play, but we're all kind of waiting for you to announce you're in the project. And what I'm hoping is that this housekeeping bylaw isn't slowing down that process, because if it is, then let's immediately do what Jeff said about dispense with the site-specific, and get on with the OP and the zoning bylaw, because the community are feeling like we're kind of, we're on the racetrack, but we're being held back. We want to provide input, but there's no point in providing input if the project hasn't started yet. So if that's helpful, thank you.
And certainly thank you through the mayor. The housekeeping is not a initiative that buys us time. It's simply an initiative that helps us do our job better in the interim, but it is not slowing that process down.
I think, in other words, Councillor Hazel would say, enough with the weather delays. Let's carry on. Any other comments? All right. Well, I greatly appreciate all the work you're doing, and like Councillor Hazelton, I'm speaking for all of us when I say we're really looking forward to the official plan zoning bylaw review works moving forward. We have a certain keenness on that. In the meantime, I have moved by Councillor Predko, seconded by Councillor Cooper. Be it resolved that Council receives the report regarding the housekeeping for the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2024-75, and that Council directs staff to prepare a recommendation report and proposed bylaw for consideration by Council at a subsequent meeting. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moved by Councillor Hazelton, seconded by Councillor Predko. Be it resolved that Planning Council adopt bylaw 2025-052 to confirm the proceedings of the June 3rd, 2025 council meeting. All those in favor? And that is carried. And I hope everybody is sitting down for this one. Moved by Councillor Jarvis, second by Councillor Cooper. Be it resolved the Planning Council does now adjourn at 9:30 p.m. until July 8th a.m. Sorry, it said p.m. I was just reading what my script said. 9:30 a.m. until July 8th, 2025 at 9 a.m. or at the call of the chair. All those in favor? And that is carried. Wow, that beat the 9:35 prediction or hope that I'd stated. So, very impressed. Thank you very much, everyone.